Hi, and welcome to Crochet Crochet. Today's project is going to be a little crochet graduation cap that's super quick and super easy. Let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start with an eye hook and 2 strands of Karen 1-pound yarn. We're going to make a chain in the length we want our cap to be. So we're going to go ahead and chain 6. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll take a look at it. I think I want one more. And 6. Then we're going to turn our chain and make single crochets in that back loop right there. We're going to make a total of 6 single crochets. It's 2, 3, 4, 5, and that 6th one is in that last little starting chain that we had. We're going to chain 1, and then we're going to make 5 more rows of single crochet, making sure that we chain 1 at the end of each row. And here we are, getting ready to finish off our last row. And we chain 1 and we go ahead and check, and we have 6 rows of 6 single crochets. I like to fold it over to check to make sure that I have a square, and if the lines line up, I did it right. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut a really long strand of yarn. I'm going to give my little square a little edge. You could go ahead and do a single crochet if you want it all the way around the square, but I just like to sew around the square. It gives it a cute little edge. So I'm going to take my embroidery needle, and I'm just going to go around and around. Just going to go right under the stitches on the sides and all the way around. Sometimes when you're working with more than one strand of yarn, your yarn can get a little tangled, so just be careful, try to hold it straight. Right here mine got a little bit tangled. Took me a second to undo it. It doesn't take too much. So go ahead and go all the way around. Okay, so here we are coming up to the end of our last side where we're sewing up our little hat. And when we're done, we're going to take one of the strands and we're going to weave it into the center of the hat and add a button. You can go ahead and weave in that other end too. So I'm going to put it right there in the middle. So I'm just going to take one strand, I'm not going to do 2 this time, and I'm just going to work my way to the middle. And I just kind of eyeball it, make sure I end up pretty center. I'm using a pretty big embroidery needle, so I'm going to switch it to a smaller one so that I can pass it through the button that I chose. A little trouble threading it there, but it really doesn't matter. I'm just going to get it through the button. And then I'm going to go back to my larger embroidery needle. And then I'm going to weave it in and secure my button. So go ahead and secure your button. Okay, so here we are, nice and secure. We have our little button. That's what it looks like on the side. All the ends are woven in. And now we're going to start on the body of the hat. So once again, I'm going to take 2 strands of yarn. And again, I usually just eyeball it, but in this case, we're going to end up with 14 chains. Okay, so far I've made 12 chains. I'm going to check them. against the top of my cap just to see how I like it. I think it's a little small, so I'm going to add 2 more chains for a total of 14 chains. 1, 2. Okay, so now back to the back side, doing it in the little bump there, we're going to make 14 single crochets. Okay, so here we are done with our first row. We have 14 single crochets. We're going to chain 1, and we're going to make 2 more rows of single crochet. All right, so here we have our 3 rows. Now we're going to make sure that we have a really long tail so that we can sew the ends together and then sew our little rows to our cap. So make sure it's nice and long. And we're going to pull it through. And fold it over it, and it has a natural curvature to it, so we're just going to fold it over and sew those ends together. You can use whatever method you would like to sew them together. So I'm just going to go to that next stitch there. Now you probably should go ahead and weave in that little end over there. It keeps getting in my way, but if you weave it in first, it won't be getting in your way. Okay, so we have it all sewn. Now we're going to attach it to the top of the hat. I'm going to go ahead and move that little tail to the inside of my hat. Hopefully you went ahead and wove yours in. That way it'll be out of my way. Okay, so I'm going to start with a corner, and I'm just going to go ahead and go through that stitch close to that corner there. And pull it tight, and then I'm going to go ahead and go through every stitch around my hat, and I'm going to pull it over to those stitches right under the brim, right close to the edge. And then I'm just going to keep going around until I've gone all the way around. You might have to do a little pulling there to make sure that your little stitches go to the edge of your hat. Okay, when we're done sewing, this is what it looks like. And then we'll just go ahead and weave in our ends. Once we've woven in all those ends, we can make our tassel. Okay, so here we have a few strands of the yarn in the colors of your choice. I'm going to fold it over. I'm going to take a long piece of one of the colors. You can choose whichever color you like. I'm just going to double knot it. And then I'm going to take another piece of yarn, the same color that I used to tie the first one. It's going to be the same length as the tassel part. And I'm going to double knot it across the top. And there's always one that's sticking out, so I'm going to take my embroidery needle and I'm going to sew it in or tuck it into the middle of the tassel. And there you have it. Now we're going to tie it to the top of the hat. Again, just double knotting it. Pull it to the length that you'd like. I'm going to eyeball it there. So then we just pull it tight, and we can trim our ends after we've double knotted it. Trim them off there at the base. Pull it tight, and that's what it looks at this point. Now we're going to cut off the ends on our tassel to trim it up, make it nice and neat. And our hat's done. If you'd like to learn more about this cute little hat, visit me at yoshay.wordpress.com.